Ne čuje se ništa. Ja ne čujem. Ne čujem ništa.
Da se čuje kod tebe.
We will present today 3 project ideas which were judged by the expert jury as the most prospective for crowdfunding and can contribute to solving the problem of local communities in Vojvodina, Belgrade, Central, Southern and Eastern Serbia. At the beginning of April last year, NALED initiated a unique platform for donations so that in the first COVID-19 pandemic period will mitigate the negative consequences of the pandemic for the economy. Now let's listen to Mrs. VIOLETA Jovanovic. Respectable ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. FUNKE and respectable partners and journalists, I'm glad that we are now at the end of the project Alternative Funding for Local Initiatives in Serbia. And we are have the opportunity to discuss possible solutions for conditions for donations from economy and development of crowdfunding for local initiatives. According to the last report on over 65 million euros were donated to fight the global pandemic consequences, and the greatest part came from economy. The donations were doubled in comparison to last year, but they still have a low value, which is only 1% of the profit of these companies. The reason for such a state should be seen in the bad conditions for donating, which is also the result of our research on donations. The largest number of surveyed companies think that there are no incentive measures for donators in Serbia, and the costs are very high, especially when the donations are in the field of food. Over 1 million of additional tax value was paid for donations. And if we continue with such practice, the potential of socially responsible companies in the field of donations will not be used to the fullest extent. And that is why at this point we want to speak about how to instigate economic entities to make donations and how these donations can be directed towards the local levels. The support was at first directed towards the republic level to strengthen our towns and municipalities to protect their health in local communities, and that is why NALED last year offered a unique solution with a platform for donations as a way of fight against the pandemic. Together with GIZ, we collected a donation of 250,000 euros, which was then given to 41 local communities with 2.5 with a lot of food and the medical equipment in the value of 140,000 euros. Crowdfunding on the basis of donations has a future and can be a foundation for other development initiatives at the local level. We want to continue with the development of our donation platform and offer the cities and municipalities in Serbia and towns in Serbia a unique place where they can be connected. This project that gathered us all today was established because of the crowdfunding in Serbia offered to the local level, and that is why we organized a number of workshops with the aim of strengthening capacities, knowledge, and skills of representatives of local communities on alternative ways of funding and networking with donors. We would like them to identify the needs of their population and formulate and represent their initiatives in projects on platforms. In the future, we would like to have more socially responsible projects at the local level, divided among the three sectors of the society. We need to improve the regulatory framework and simplify the administrative and regulatory procedures and reduce expenses for donors. We have to raise the awareness on the donation and philanthropic and civil society organizations should work on that field. When we complete that, we hope that the contribution of the private sector through donations will be great. Now I would like to really thank all the participants in the project and congratulate the best ones and express our greatest gratitude to our partners from Loud Crowd organization and, of course, to GIZ and German Development Cooperation. Without them, this would not be possible. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you, Mrs. Jovanovic. And the implementation of this project was enabled by the German Ministry for Cooperation and through the Initiative for Employment. And it is promoted crowdfinancing at the local level. I would like to ask the director of GIZ in Serbia, Mrs. Daniela FUNKE, to tell us about the potentials of crowdfunding development in Serbia as an alternative way of collecting funding for local initiatives. Mrs. FUNKE, please take the floor. Smo srećni što možemo da omogućimo transfer dobrih praksi. Nadam se da će ovaj događaj lokalnim zajednicama omogućiti vidljivost lokalnih inicijativa. Takođe, drago mi je da predstavnici lokalnih inicijativa razvijaju održiva rešenja. Hvala vam najlepše.
Thank you, Mrs. Funke. Thank you for your support and for the clarification. Now we're going to move to the central part of our conference, and our guests with a lot of energy and emotions that they have invested into this project. They will present their ideas, the implementation of which will help dealing with some important issues in the central throughout the whole Serbia. As an additional form of support to Serbia, all three campaigns will have an opportunity to be promoted on the NALED donation platform in cooperation with the Catalyst and in cooperation with the Catalyst, they will be publicized. This is going to be the only platform that we hope will help us, collect the necessary funds as soon as possible. Therefore, we'd like to invite you also to join our online survey and, go to hashtag with the hashtag crowdfunding. Please vote for the initiative that has the best impression in your opinion. I would like to ask Dušica Sretenović from the CERN Association of Persons with Disabilities from Raška to break the ice and present a project that is intended to provide the best health care for all women from the municipality of Raška. Please. Dear, good afternoon. I will be talking today about the problem that's of the concern of almost all women. Sexual and reproductive health is one of the basic human rights. Women with disabilities on the territory of the municipality of Raška are actually having difficulties to realize these rights due to inappropriate gynecological service in Raška, in primary care center in Raška. The biggest problems are actually faced by women with disabilities because the gynecological bed is inappropriate, and therefore they need assistance from other persons when they go for gynecological examination. This is creating additional problems and also problems related to personal intimacy. Women with disabilities, among which I'm one of them, are reluctant to go for gynecological examinations and regular examinations as well. Most of women from this target group are having difficulties to, conceive a child, and some of them having difficulties to make a decision to do that because of inadequate access to the health care. By buying the gynecological bed, we would ensure better health care, and we would modernize healthcare protection in the primary care center in Raška, not only for women with disabilities, but also for pregnant women, for all the population and all women of our municipality. With this, we would also provide for regular medical examinations, gynecological examinations, and all other people who do not have healthcare insurance. The value of this piece of equipment is 250,000 dinars. Our association has a very good cooperation with the municipal administration, and one of the proofs of that is that we are here with you today. They have actually applied through the platform on our behalf. They will be They will be we would like to invite all other stakeholders to support us via donations or to promote our project idea so that we can, acquire necessary donations as soon as possible. I would like also to invite all citizens of our municipality of Raška to, as much as they can, help us to implement our project for the that's going to be for the benefit of the whole community. Our project idea will be promoted by organizing a roundtable, representatives of the association, CERNA, the representatives of local government, primary care center, then the businesses, both state-owned companies and privately owned companies, civil sector societies will, be part of all this. We would like to also to invite women from other municipalities or other local communities, other cities, to actually talk to us, tell us what are the advantages or the strengths of proper equipment. Also, gynecologists can do some lectures related to regular examinations and their importance for the reproductive health. Also, the promotion, we will use social networks, actually the Facebook page, our Facebook page, for promotion of all, for promotion of this activity as well as other activities. We would also promote our activities on local and local radio, on TV stations, as well as other activities related to the project. Our association is working on improvement and of the position and social integration of persons with disabilities on the territory of the municipality of Raška. We want and we hope that this project idea is going to be implemented to provide for a decent gynecological examinations for women with disabilities, and also we want to encourage them to conceive and start a family. Thank you. You had the opportunity to hear the first presentation and the first plan you can vote for. Thank you, Mrs. Sretenovic. Another question that's very important for all of us is related to environmental protection. For things to improve, we need to work together at the local and at the national level. How can we help Sremska Mitrovica? We will hear from Tamara MILKOVIC from the PUC Utilities from Sremska Mitrovica. Please. Good afternoon. We are here today because we think that we have a response, an answer to one big question, one big challenge, and that challenge is a zero waste challenge, creating city with zero waste. It sounds impossible, but if we can say that 80% of the waste can be recycled and that only 20 will be permanently disposed of on the landfill, and if I tell you the waste is not junk, then then this challenge is looking much more possible. The main problem in Sremska Mitrovica are illegal landfills or dump sites. They are in the urban areas, in the settlements, next to the containers that are used for solid waste disposal, next to apartment buildings. Why do we have that? Because of the inability for our citizens to dispose the bulky solid waste that's recyclable in a proper manner. We don't have large containers. We don't have a method to collect the bulky waste from our citizens and then use it and then take it for disposal. The illegal dump sites or landfills are, yes, an ugly picture, but are also a big health hazard, and they are also a hazard for the environment. What's the solution? Installation of the recycling yard. What is a recycling yard? Recycling yard means a fenced area with several types of containers that are used for separation of various types of waste, so-called recyclable waste. What's the solution for our city? It is a installation of the recycling yard on the existing lot that it's owned by the PUC. by fitting out this PUC, we will fund 50%. 50% of the project costs, but we need another 10,000 to procure the containers. We need 8 containers, 7 cubic meters each. Citizens will use their own transportation means, and they will have they will be charged, they will be able to dispose their bulky waste free of charge, glass, demolition waste, plastic waste, then wrappings, packaging, and they can use these containers to dispose the waste. Another important thing is that we will create cooperation with associations of the so-called secondary recyclers. For them, this is the only revenue source, and we will allow them to come to our recycling yard, and then they can separate all recyclables and use for their means. Also, other associations of secondary recycles will be in a position to use the recycling yard. What's the goal? As little as possible waste to be disposed on the regional landfill. And another goal is to have as much solid waste recycled as possible. This way, we will reach the zero waste goal in our city. This is an extremely demanding activity, but we need to start. We need to educate our citizens. We need to help them to participate in the recycling as actively as possible. We need to give them that opportunity. Waste is not a junk. Help us, please donate for our city to become a zero-waste city. Thank you. So we had a proposal from the PUC Utilities, from Sremska Mitrovica. Thank you, Mrs. MILKOVIC. Now, the last candidate for the best project idea, but we are talking about the Association of Roma, Civic Association of Roma, Egyptian and Ashkali people from Bor. I would like to ask Mrs. Sinanovic to share the idea of their project with us. I would like to welcome all. Thank you for the opportunity to share our project idea. When we say marginalization, what do we actually mean? What is the story that's behind the word? So imagine a child that has been criticized by a teacher because he or she is late for school, is always late for the class, doesn't have a proper textbook. But there's one very important thing that's missed out. This child is actually living in a so-called informal settlement, and it's waking up there every day. They go to the landfill, they collect the secondary waste or the secondary raw materials. They use it to generate their revenues. So when kids are living in fear and these kind of conditions, then they cannot learn properly. They cannot get educated properly. When you live in such a settlement, it means that you cannot, go and register for the ID card, for a health insurance card. It means that you cannot get a proper health care service. You don't have the health insurance. As you see, we're talking about a series of problems, and all these problems it takes a lot of effort and attention to be dealt with. The city of Bor is working to deal with these problems. The Roma population has been always pointing out these problems. We have a facility or a premise the citizens can come to talk about these problems. Unfortunately, the roof is leaking, and the premise is in a proper situation. The stairway is unsafe. We cannot, talk efficiently with our people. For example, we have people with disabilities coming to visit us, but they cannot access the premise properly. We need your help to initiate. Actually, we have the initiative on, but we need your help. Please donate. Help us to refurbish this premise where people from marginalized, actually sensitive groups, not only Roma people, but all people who are dealing with these kind of problems, where they can come for a free legal assistance, where they can get support for education. They can use it to get educated. We there will be people with appropriate competencies, and there will be people who will help all this population. We are members of the Trans Roma Association. We are members of the mobile team for inclusion of Roma men and women. We are also members of the Gender Equality Council. We are working on local projects. We are working on global projects. We cooperate with GIZ. We work together with UNICEF and many other donors who are relevant for us and who are our partners in dealing with these issues. What we are working on is, what we want to do is to make better chances for these people. We would refurbish the premise where these people would be able to gather and get appropriate assistance. So we would like to invite all people of goodwill, all Roma who are living abroad, and all donations to come and donate for our campaign. If you don't have money, please share the campaign link and to become seen globally. When you talk about marginalization, please, well, let's work on that. When we say this word, we actually see a person who's actually living on out of their work, not on the social assistance.
Thank you, Mrs. Sinanovic. So we have heard all three suggestions, and before we go to our panel discussion, I would like to remind you that you still have time to vote for one of the presented initiatives, and maybe in that way contribute to a greater visibility of the project that you are voting for. And also you can use the Slate platform and the code #crowdfunding. We will now continue with our meeting and the dialogue, which creates better conditions for financing of needs in our country. In a few moments, I will give the floor to the moderator of the panel, Dusan Volovic, an expert for crowdfunding from the Loud Crowd Association. I engaged. Good afternoon, and we're back now, and I would like to greet you all. My name is Dusan Vojvovic, and as you heard before, I am the president and founder of the Loud Crowd Association and the crowdfunding expert. And before we go on with presenting our guests or introducing our guest, I would like you to use the opportunity while we are discussing to vote for someone who is the best in your opinion. You can choose from three teams from Serbia. They have passed, they have actually had our crowdfunding training, and they were also educated on giving presentations. So now you have the opportunity to vote for one of them. In the next hour, how we will discuss how to get better crowdfunding and how to make better donations. I would like to make a small remark. The funding through donations has been with us for a long time, and some of the representatives and initiators of that initiative are here with us today. I would like to greet Mr. VERAN MATIC, the president of the Serbian Philanthropic Forum, and also Mrs. Bojana Tosic, the director of the Republic Secretariat for Public Policies. Bojana, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for being with us. And also it will be interesting to hear from you how your initiatives are innovative and different from what is usual in situations such as this one. And also Tisa Čaušević from Coca-Cola is also here with us as a member from the Association for Food and Agriculture of NALED. One of the initiators of the crowdfunding fund of NALED, Mr. Nathan Košal, on behalf of the Catalyst Balkans, and Mr. Zoran Semenović, president of the municipality of Šid. Mr. Semenović also attended our School of Alternative Funding of Donations for Local Communities, and he was the only president of a municipality who presented his project in front of a jury. So I would like to start with one short introduction and maybe speak about the topic of donation. There are several segments of crowdfunding or group funding. In Serbia, we only have available donation crowdfunding as an option through the platform donations.rs. And I would like Nathan to correct me if I'm wrong. I was not in Serbia at that time, so maybe I remember that well. The platform Donations RS was initiated in a situation which was similar to the situation when the NALED platform was launched, and that is sanation and better functioning in a situation of damage control. So what would be the quickest way to collect donations in the situations when we had the floods of 2014, for example? So this pandemic that is still ongoing, but we hope it will soon end, it launched many issues in the field of donations, especially for the most vulnerable groups of local populations. NALED investigated this topic with over 200 partners among the companies cooperating with NALED. and through membership. So the value of donations in 2020 was 5 times greater than in the past years. So the situation that actually those 5 times more was invested in medical equipment, medications, and education, culture, and sport were neglected in this process. So I would like to ask Mr. Veran Matic in the first place if you can hear me. Yes, I can hear you. I turned off my mic. Now I can hear you. So in the first place, you are one of the pioneers, and you are the most famous for that in the field of donations in Serbia. You have initiated a large number of ideas, and so far in your career, you succeeded in something that was something like a mission impossible. So I would like to ask you, in this COVID situation and on behalf of the Serbian Philanthropic Forum, what could you say are key observations that you can make? Are there any differences now from the situation during the flooding in 2014? And how do we react as the economy and as individuals in the field of philanthropy when COVID-19 in the past year is concerned? I'm glad that I am participating in this discussion, and I would like to go back a little bit more backwards into the past. And I would like to say that the issue of philanthropy is better to test in some peaceful periods and situations, not only in extreme situations, because the rules are slightly changed under these conditions, and you get different results. So 13 or 14 years ago, we had our Fight for Babies action, and it was done in a peaceful moment, not in an extreme situation. And this was an unusual situation because in nurseries, in hospitals where babies are born, you can see very old equipment, 50-year-old equipment, and we actually purchased incubators. And in one of our actions, which lasted for a year, we collected more than between 2 and 3 million euros, and we solved one problem at that point. We actually raised our health institutions to a global level and engaged 1,300,000 people in this process, over 100 companies, and so many individuals. So this had a really huge potential. We also have a large number of other examples with collected medications for children, and this potential is really great. When the situations are extreme, this story becomes even more strengthened. And last year, in the fight against pandemic, over 29 million euros were donated. Maybe Nathan can tell about that more precisely. And 67% of that was donated by business entities, but also from diaspora, from citizens as well. In such periods, as I said, some things move forward. And we had a situation in which the country, the state, asked people for solidarity and asked for VAT to be abolished for companies which make donations, and to accounts which are collecting funding for a fight against pandemic. And that is really good sensitivity towards problems such as this one. At the same time, this speaks in favor of the fact that the response was really intense and impressive, because like in other segments, there was a lack of attention devoted to some other needs that are related to combat against COVID in the social sphere, like, for example, food donation, which remained with the VAT, also donation some hygienic products. So generally, we lack a positive sensibility towards philanthropy in Serbia, which is a huge problem. When we have extremely difficult situations, people say, we will not ask for VAT. If Hema Farm Foundation, for example, donated 380,000 euros of direct help, they never asked for VAT to be to be given back to them. So I now speak about our general attitude towards philanthropy in Serbia. Even today, we have huge needs which are not related to COVID and its effects. And at the same time, we have problems with when we speak about hunger, food donations, and when we speak about potentials for donation are huge. An excellent moment was when in Novi Pazar and Tutin there was a sharp increase in the number of ill people, ill with COVID-19. And then people from Belgrade and this region, through the platform of donations and philanthropic forum, we made a really quick action. The state was not able to do this during the preparatory phase. We quickly bought some equipment and transported it to this area of Serbia, and it was together with all the activists of this joint action, which included a large number of participants. So I think that the point actually of what I want to speak about is that the potential is really much greater than in the field of building of culture. For example, the building of culture is up to the state, and the state should create a very, very friendly environment for individuals and organizations and activists to be treated as partners in everyday life. But this partnership definitely is crucial in extreme situations. And sometimes there is discrimination when it comes to donations and accumulation of funding. Maybe you can have VAT abolished for direct donations, and not if it is a donation for some other organizations which have been really. We will speak about the topic of VAT and food. And now I just wanted to ask you, there is one interesting thing. We actually spoke about crowdfunding as a topic in general. And the initiative of local communities is very interesting in those terms. I go out of the topic of donations. I would like to ask you about your experience so far, and those are two segments. One is, how could you explain the recruitment of donators for a certain topic through rule or not, and the segment of participation of diaspora in significant, important situations. In the first place, I think about donations.
I need to say that I have been working also in media, and so working in that aspect as well, and for quite some time, and I'm still chairing the Association of Independent Media. And when we were establishing the association, we were clear that this is the essence of media outlets. The information itself, people are interested in information. They are maybe not interested in Israeli-Palestinian conflict right now, but they want information on whether something that is taking place in the street next door is jeopardizing them. So we're talking about the public interest, which is directly connected to each citizen of this country. It was clear that we have to be on one side as in a position in a way. In 2000, we had around 100 media which have had different types of programs, I don't know, local cable system within a apartment building in Majdanpek or anything similar at a different level. In B92, we had a ban, so we couldn't work. But it was, we focused on the interests of citizens within a certain locality. And we are here again talking about that. It's easy to accumulate the philanthropy giving. We talk about a personalized things or donations when we know where donation goes, whether the donation will be monitored publicly and so on. And that's why people decide to opt for that. And we had the biggest success with such actions. During COVID as well, when we initiated the Novi Pazar initiative, when we launched the Novi Pazar initiative, we had the biggest success with such an initiative. It's one of the best experiences you can find in the Vlada and Ana and Vlada Divac Foundation, because they focused on such type of engagement, and that's why they had the best results. So this is key. This is the most important. Okay, great comment. Let me just add. World experiences related to crowdfunding and financing local projects. It shows that it shows that 3 times more responses are due to local interest. Local interest, because it's of the interest. I would like to ask Bojana Tošić from the Republic Public Policy Secretariat. A lot of interesting and useful initiatives are coming from the Secretariat, and by chance we are actually focused on one another, because we have initiatives that's related to primary school that's going on, and related to equipping classrooms, but it's not a topic right here, but it's participation of the community at the local level, because local here is school in this case. But I wanted to ask you something else. Your experience in regard to donations, local initiatives are primarily related to donations. That's why I'm asking this question. What are your experiences? What's your I don't get a sound. I'm not getting a sound. Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you very much. I would like to greet all presenters, and I might say who I voted for, and I will describe why. Maybe the idea that I was recommended, I will be also describe it. So because I think it contributes to development of donations and philanthropy in Serbia. As regards to donations and let's say the attitude of the government, Mr. Matic was talking about that. There is an improvement, but room for further improvement is still very much there. we realized that when we are in a crisis, the government can organize in much faster fashion, and this might sound improper, but some rules that apply in such situation, then we find a way to not apply them because the functioning is much more important in that situation. In this case, for example, we're talking about donations, so that we can provide incentives for donors to help. And I think that we can use the experience to, to act the same way when we have this kind of emergency situations such as pandemics. I would like to respond to as follows. The food donations, why VAT was paid, that was the question I got, and why MOF is rejecting the idea of eliminating the VAT payment obligation. There's a task force. They're working on that, but MOF is very strict about this. MOF is saying that they would have to pay the VAT. There's also a question whether those that are donating food are going to be exempted from the VAT obligation, payment obligation. That's the questions they're deliberating. I think there is room for talk about that, and it's time. I think it's time to do some more detailed analysis. Think about it thoroughly when this kind of segment of when we're talking about this kind of segment, maybe I will take the responsibility to talk to MOF, and maybe together with our NALED colleagues, we can organize a meeting, and maybe at least get to some initial steps to speed up the analysis and maybe influence some of the decisions. What I wanted to say is that when someone's receiving a donation, when a local government or a state is receiving donations, things are not that easy. Donations are regulated by a law which is very much obsolete. I don't think there's a ministry that's in charge of that law anymore because it's so old. We are talking about a regulation that's from 2001, which is very much lacks a lot of details, and many things are observed via corruption, and in a way it disables businesses, actually private sector businesses, to donate to the various authorities. Because some of them are in charge of the inspections and control of those business entities. The amendments to this law have been initiated, but due to the current situation and the lack of knowledge who is in charge of the situation, we still have an unresolved situation in this field. There's a recommendation that came from the agency, and I see this overlaps with the findings from the study you mentioned that has been developed by NALED at the local level, is to create a list or some kind of records of donations that are received at the local level, and just monitor the implementation of these donations. If then the issue of corruption would be, minimized, and we wouldn't be talking about these topics, but we would be talking about the topics of donations themselves. I apologize. I apologize for interrupting you. I'm not getting him again. We mentioned foundations and this system. On the other hand, we have a donation platform. That's the donation.rs, which is the only one where citizens can participate in donations. There's no obstacle for them to participate. These three projects are actually running to be part of this donation.rs platform, and through that they will get the support for their initiatives. I'm trying to, the government and institutions can co-finance also through donations certain initiatives. For example, if your local initiative has shown that citizens who are part of that municipality want to have this kind of donation or a solution for, I don't know, water supply, that they can donate, then the government, the city can donate for, I don't know, water supply initiative. I know there's things that in some countries, this is how it works. That would be a crowdfunding budget. This is the recommendation that I was thinking about. And that's why I would like to vote for the initiative related to the purchase of the gynecological bed. Why? Because local government unit is supporting this idea with 500 dinars, if I got it right, which is more than 1/3 of the required funds, required project funds. And I think the recommendations should follow this path. As regards to donations and themselves, I think the citizens, both citizens and society, businesses are also ready, but we lack education both ways. Often we, just wake up when we are in an emergency situation, as I already said, but we need to establish a sustainable system. We see a lot of initiative from the citizens for donations for treatment for sick children. There are a lot of such initiatives. There are a lot of also other initiatives, especially at the local level. So I will move away from the topic a little bit and ask why don't we support some great entrepreneurship ideas? Why wouldn't we start up small business at local level through other crowdfunding platforms? Of course, now we're talking about donations, but I think it's a great opportunity, if there's can be one recommendation, to start working on a normative framework or legal framework to think about it, to define crowdfunding to the full extent with all options via donations, borrowing or maybe investment. Let's create several opportunities to support both the communities and those that generate ideas. The procedure of receiving donations from the government, to receive donations in the government and local governments is a very complex, and it depends a lot on the type of donor. Usually it's an international donor, and the international donors have their own rules. They ask a lot of documentation, a lot of evidence that you can actually receive a donation, including audit, but also you have to observe the laws when you're talking about the tax laws and doing business in line with the budgetary laws. Then opening a treasury account, then the budgetary account, and so on, so on, so on. This is a whole system of capacity building for institutions that are part of the process of crowdfunding. Anything is possible. There's a room for streamlining. Yes, we lack capacity, but with a joint work, us together, we can deal with these problems definitely. Great introduction. Great to hear that from you, because we as association, we are working on creating the capacity for crowdfunding because we think this is a very important topic for us. The we have 30 minutes more and 3 controls.
Half an hour left and the 3 panelists. So I would like to ask Mr. Zoran Semenovic, President of the Municipality of Šid. If you are here, you're not here now. So we'll wait, and I would now like to speak to Tisa from Coca-Cola Hellenic. Can you hear me? Yes. On the one hand, you are connected to a company, a corporation, and on the other hand, you are in the Association for Food and Agriculture of Knowledge. And you have really valuable experience that you can share with us. And I would like to make a short introduction about donations in food. So at this point, we have an initiative on the crowdfunding platform on the collecting of donations for food for Novi Pazar. So I would like to tell you something about the data in comparison to 2019. The donations of food have been doubled. According to the food bank, about 250,000 tons of food are thrown away in Serbia. And that food is edible and can be donated, and together with NALED Association and Dobročinstvo, NALED suggests some solutions that can help with this issue. We mentioned the donation of food in the first half an hour, and can you tell us when donations in food are concerned, what are your suggestions? There are some individual initiatives. Some companies, retail companies, retail chains have launched their individual initiative to donate themselves, but that was not institutionally resolved, which is a very important issue for our country to solve this problem. So thank you, Dusan, for an excellent question. And in the first place, thank you for inviting me here. And I would like to greet other panelists as well. In the first place, the hosts, the organizers of this conference. So I would like to continue with what you spoke about, individual initiatives. As a company, Coca-Cola HBC implements different individual initiatives. The volume of donations in food has been doubled in this year. And last year, together with Bambi, we donated food and drink which had €500,000 value. It is a really huge value. And we shouldn't stop there. You said that really well. The institutional framework is very important in order not to remain at the level of ad hoc donations only in case of crisis, and when there is a possibility to maybe avoid some rules. When food and drink are concerned, these rules are strict, and they should be very strict. We are talking about something which is not a donation in money or equipment. It is something that people consume. And it is really important that some rules, what can be donated and through which channels, should be in a way kept under this strict framework for the sake of safety and quality maintenance. So the country should maybe use the role model of some really good best practices from Europe, and that is one of the recommendations of the analysis. Not all food which is close to the expiry of its shelf life, it is not unsafe. Not all of it is unsafe, and that is something that we as a society should work on. On the one hand, from the viewpoint of legislation, it is very important for the legislators to recognize this And I think that in the past 2 years, improvements have been made in this field. As a company, we are actively participating through knowledge and forum for responsible business practices. One of the initiatives is to donate safe foods shortly after the expiry date of their shelf life. It should be kept in the donation chain. This food should not end up on a rubbish tip or landfill. It should be kept within the food chain. And I think that we should work on the improvement on the law on food safety, or maybe adoption of some bylaws, which should enable this food to be used and stay in. And also the loan donations. It is obsolete. It cannot support our efforts, the efforts of socially responsible companies and the society. Some serious steps have been made in this field, and so that the amendments of these laws can happen. The first draft rule book has been produced together with the Coalition for Philanthropy, and also NALED and PKS have been really active in this field. So the examples of best practice from other countries have been taken over, from Belgium and France, and even from Croatia, which has had a really well-developed system on how to donate this type of food for 2 years. So I hope that this is something that will happen in the coming period. As a company, we continue with donations, and this is not something that is a strictly limiting factor, but the society as a whole, and really large quantities of food being thrown away, we think that such a step would significantly improve the situation. So other panelists spoke about some other issues. It is a really huge problem, and that is the VAT for donations, paid on donations. And in some companies which are smaller and don't have an infrastructure such as Coca-Cola, it is maybe financially more profitable for them to destroy the food with expired shelf life, and that's the system of companies. There is a system of companies which are interested in being included in this process, and we hope that this draft that you spoke about will improve and facilitate things in the coming period. Tissa, thank you very much. And now I would like to go back to, I'm afraid I can't hear I have no sound, I must tell you. I have a technical problem, no sound in the cabin. Unfortunately, no sound. No. In the first place, the municipality of Šid. In the past 5 or 6 years were related to some problems with the municipalities of Šid, and our experience is that donations from embassies and NALED or civil society organizations or individuals such as Novak Djokovic they required some we had to fulfill some legal regulations that we had to fulfill. Especially, we actually need a model where donors bring food and maybe a donator needs a lot of help to finish its intention in a really good way. In the past few years, the level of donations received by the municipality of Šid was over 800,000 euros in construction works and maybe renovation of playgrounds. We also had donations. We have a really bad signal. I don't know, something is happening with my connection, and I hope you could hear me. I would like to make a small break, and you actually went through our workshop on crowdfunding and about crowdfunding canvas, how to prepare a crowdfunding campaign, and you presented it itself. So can you tell us about your experience about this process, and do you think that this project could really be put on the platform and ask citizens to support that idea?
Absolutely. The procedure we went through, the education, has created another dimension in our minds. We learned how it can be easier in a transport manner to achieve the goals involving civil society, non-government organizations, local government with executive powers. The local can create conditions for implementation for the civil society desires, and we can create a system which is very good, of high quality, and in a way we can create a joint story when. So any kind of control of any project would be available to all. The basic goal is to have something recognizable, and the donors need to know what are they giving and who are they giving things to. So you taught us through the program. We learned a lot, and it will take a lot of time for all of us to come together and create an organizational structure at the local level with the civil society to get closer to the people who want to donate funds. And sometimes it's enough just to have a desire. I would like to ask Nathan, good afternoon. I would like to ask you in Serbian, because the whole conversation is in Serbian, but it's actually Serbian because it's oh, I can't hear him. I'm not getting him. I'm not getting the Serbian audio. Through the crowdfunding.
Sorry, but it seems we have some technical problems, so the question didn't come through. I cannot hear it either in Serbian or in translation. Yeah, I don't have your audio, unfortunately. No. I can hear the
Mm-hmm.
translator, but the translator can't hear you and can't communicate that to me.
Da, sada čujem. I can hear him now, so we can start now. We can start. Repeat.
Okay.
Ask him to repeat the question, please. Ask him to repeat the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. If you can repeat the question, now the translator can hear you and I can hear the translator. So repeat the question, and sorry for the delay. Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Sorry for the problem with the translation and the delay. So it's crowdfunding is a really exciting thing, and hearing the various speakers on the panel talk about some of the different aspects of crowdfunding, it also shows that it's a very complex uh, element. There are complexities from the legal perspective. It's specifically about the financing, the legalities of financing, and there are also complexities when it comes to how to market or how to engage potential donors. And when we're talking about involving municipalities and communities as stakeholders, while in fact they have been in many ways over the last number of years in the offline ways of doing philanthropy, when we look at online crowdfunding, we can even see in the three campaigns that were pitched today that two of them are done in partnership with local nonprofit organizations. And that's one of the things I wanted to start with, which is civic crowdfunding, the idea that citizens and municipalities and companies work together to achieve a common good. Civic crowdfunding is really not about the money. Yes, the raising of the funds and having a successful project, that's of course the ultimate goal. But it really is about a few other things. There is the citizen engagement dynamic, which is really about democracy. It's about practicing democracy through a form of getting more people involved in making a determination about what their priorities are, whether it be through a crowdsourcing framework of coming up with good ideas, or through a crowd voting framework like what we just practiced at the beginning of this panel, where citizens vote for what are important priorities to them. It opens the door to participatory budgeting processes, but brings it down to a project level rather than on a strategic level. So that's a very exciting aspect of civic crowdfunding that should not be ignored. There's the marketing aspect, which is getting municipalities and their partners, so local community members, local civic-minded organizations, public enterprises, local companies, how they can come together and market and talk about the good that they're doing in their own communities. And then, of course, there is the political aspect, which is when municipalities choose to open their doors for how to spend a portion of their budget, and if they use ideas like matched funding in crowdfunding campaigns, where the municipality will donate €1 for every euro donated by citizens or companies, or if they use other frameworks to gamify the crowdfunding effort, there can be a political win as well, because the citizens now understand that the municipal authorities are not just choosing on their own without citizen input what is important, but they're actually working together and responding to citizen input. And so all three of those things are big pluses. Yeah, sorry, Gushan, go ahead.
postavljena koje je postavila Ivona Tošić iz Političkog sekretarijata za javne politike. Znači, radi se o veoma sličnim, odnosno u stvari i istim pitanjima koje bi trebalo veoma brzo rešiti. Do sada, kako biste rekli da je do sada bio odgovor na inicijative od strane lokalnih zajednica u smislu donacija?
So it's interesting that there have been very successful campaigns that have been focused on donacija.rs so far, that have been focused on renovating community spaces. So a municipality has donated or to a space to a nonprofit, or a nonprofit has gotten a donation from a company, and they have launched a campaign on donacija.rs to renovate that space for public good. There are at least five of the 100 campaigns that have been launched on donacija.rs in the last 3 years have been of that nature, and each one of them has been successful. So that's just as one example. Purchasing of medical equipment for medical equipment or supplies has been another topic that has worked very well on donacija.rs, not just during the period of COVID, but local organizations and municipalities coming together and saying, we need to better equip our health clinic, or we need to better equip our school. These are things that affect all citizens, right? They're things that have an influence on all citizens. And when we look at donations to Serbia for philanthropic donations in Serbia, and we see that 15% of the diaspora, 15% of these donations come from the diaspora themselves over the years. There's a whole nother audience there of getting the diaspora connected through donacija.rs or through other platforms. Now, technology helps to connect those that either no longer live in the town or the village, but live in Belgrade or live in Vienna or live in Melbourne. This is an opportunity for citizens from localities to get engaged, and it's something that can completely and totally work. And we've demonstrated already that it can. I think bringing in this system now that you are talking about here of working more in a more dedicated way with municipal authorities to build the partnerships within their communities before the launch of a campaign, and then to work together to have all stakeholders working together to promote the campaign. Those are things that are best practices that can work very well. There's a whole nother set of issues about the financial and the legal elements.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think we have time to talk about that today, and I won't, but those are things that are solvable as well. And so I don't see a lot of obstacles there. I think one of the biggest obstacles is the two biggest obstacles are unrealistic expectations of campaign owners that we're going to build a building with the money that we raise, or we're going to, build a bridge. Probably we're not going to do that. We're probably going to do something much more finite, at least to begin with. And then the second is the expectation that the platform will bring the crowd. The platform doesn't bring the crowd. The platform is a tool for you to bring your crowd to it. And so it's, again, about stakeholders working together within a municipality and reaching out and promoting these great ideas. We have a good example happening right now in Kragujevac around a museum of pop culture, and they're organizing. It'll be a private museum, but they're organizing their crowd very well. And so they're, almost, they're halfway to their goal already, and that's really fantastic to see.
That's fantastic that you mentioned, because they went through our part of education and preparation for the campaign through GIZ and initiative that we were supported. So it's great example that you gave us for the end. So hvala, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. We don't have too much time. I would like to say that the tablet I'm holding is showing what questions we received. I haven't read them out. We have no time left but the question with the most likes, whether local governments associations can collect donations through foreign crowdfunding platforms. I think that we already responded to that. We said yes, because they can do it through the foreign crowdfunding platforms, but the process is a little bit more complicated. Crowdfunding.rs is a great platform where you can find answers to all these questions, and something that I would like leave for the end. I would like to ask Mr. Veranati just briefly to go through this question asked by, I think it's on the platform, yes. What are the key obstacles to eliminate the VAT for food donations, and why this that didn't happen? Because we're talking about only 18% donations in total value. You are working in this coalition for well-being, and you are the bearer of this initiative. What, for a conclusion, tell you as a form of response to this question?
I would like to keep up with the positive spirit of this conversation, although I'm really frustrated. I have been in this business for 30 years now, and there have been no serious improvements. People who donate and invest a lot in the development of local communities and projects, they are usually treated as enemies and not as people who deserve a lot of attention of the society. When it comes to food donations, 13 or 14 years ago, we made a big action which is called Strike with Hunger Against Hunger, because all public kitchens were closed, and the company which made a large donation was actually punished with having to pay taxes. And it is obvious that in Serbia we have a worrying trend, a worrying degree of hunger. And this is not more than in the region. It is an average situation in the region. But if there are 500, 600,000 hungry people, we should do everything we can in order to avoid the destroying of food which can be eaten, so that this food can be timely distributed to these people while it is still safe and valuable. It is possible to achieve that, and the coalition initiated the founding and establishment of the Association for Philanthropy. Ana Brnabić and her government supported that, and we put this as one of the central issues. Better conditions for donations and philanthropy is one of the central issues that we are treating. This needs inclusion of experts and ministries, and this good initiation was actually interrupted with the COVID, because now a lot of attention is focused on the pandemic. And we should now finish that part of our work, which means abolishing VAT on food donations. We have already prepared documents and the deals and agreements, and it is now only the matter of political will when this will be done. The coalition was formed as a project of USAID, and the efforts of international organizations to create conditions in Serbia which are more inspiring for donations. In the USA, they are very friendly and stimulative, and in this country, the situation is a little bit frustrating in Serbia. But we keep on working on it together with Nalet, who joined us. 88% of the population of Serbia voted for the abolishment of VAT for food donations, but all other donations should also be relieved from this duty. So we have Irish and Danish experience, which are the examples of best practices and should be our role model. A compensatory fund could be established, and this compensatory fund is supposed to return this money to the state. So it could ensure that some unpredicted situations do not happen. We are in the situation now where the Ministry of Finance is ready to speak, to discuss this topic with us, but I think that conditions for that will be created. This is not some fictive story. It is something that is related to the position of individuals and the close down, which was started with the pandemic, and my first actually encounter with that situation was an encounter with homeless people who were not able to get food, and that is another totally different. We are noble people. We have heritage in this sense, and we need political will to adopt, for some solutions to be adopted, which are really practical and which will not endanger someone else. So we are not just waiting. This is a long-term process which is ahead of us. I just have to say that I have been participating at the conferences such as this one for 20 years, and we're still speaking about the same issues. I cannot tolerate this word long-term, long-range process. We have to finally make a step forward. Thank you a lot. We are overdue, and now in this improvised studio, we are now really curious to find out who are the winners of the campaign. We heard who is Mrs. Bojana Tošic's favorite initiative. Sorry, I was not able to log in. Tisa, who do you vote for? I'm absolutely for the gynecological table for disabled women. And do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite person or initiative? I will also vote for the gynecologist.
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask you who is your favorite, because they might apply through the platform, and that won't be very professional. So, would you say your opinion or not?
I would donate to all three because they're all three worthy.
Beautiful. I totally agree, because we chose them, so it was our jury. Hvala vam puno.
Thank you a lot. I prepared some questions. I maybe didn't put them in order, but we spoke about a lot of contents, and we initiated some topics that should be further discussed. I'm glad to see that there are connections and goodwill, and so that we can collaboratively work on the improvement of conditions for donations in our country, to which everyone can contribute from their own field. So that is actually the aim of our project. So now a very brief break for us to prepare for our next segment. I would like to thank everyone who followed our discussion, and see you soon. We are back now, and I hope that you are now have your impressions about the panel. And we would like to thank our panelists for the ideas and suggestions that we have heard today. They will be included in the knowledge analysis for of alternative funding initiatives that we will share with you and with the decision makers after the conference. So now is the time to hear the voice of our audience. Whose crowdfunding idea is the best? In the time of voting, we received 3,171 votes, and I would like Mrs. Funke on behalf of GIZ and Mr. Vulovic from Loud Crowd and Visha Njaracic from NALED to join us on stage. The awards for the best crowdfunding ideas will be awarded by the members of our socially responsible companies which supported us in the realization of project activities. I would like to ask Mrs. Alexandra Miric on behalf of the company Lidl to join us and award the special award for the third place. The third place was won by the Association of Roma, Ashkali and Egyptian people from Bor. We would like to congratulate you on this prize. Thank you very much once again to the winners of the third prize. The second prize will be given by Theodora Passon from Coca-Cola HBC Company, and it was won by the Association of Disabled People, Serena from Raška, and I would like to ask you to receive this prize. Thank you and congratulations. We wish you a lot of success in your further work. Now, Mrs. Ljiljana Radosavljević from the PepsiCo company join us to announce the winner. And according to the votes of our audience, the first prize of the team, which attracted a lot of public attention, the winners are PUC Communalities. Communal services from MILKOVIC. Congratulations once again. And one more award for them. Congratulations once again, and you can stay on stage, and other participants, winners, and members of their teams can now join us to make a group photo, but still keeping a distance because of the pandemic. With this group photo, we will end today's conference. And on behalf of the organizers, I would like to thank the participants and everyone who followed our work. And I would like once again to congratulate to the projects which won these excellent prizes today. Goodbye.